Captain JDog23 here today. So, we found out DeQuan Jones is not just a police officer, he is also a serial killer. And what we have clues for is he has voracious videos on YouTube of him killing people. And now we can see that he's changing his clothes to look like a serial killer. And I can't find any. Stabbed in the ass with his knife right here. Oh, never mind. I meant the vagina. And people thought she was on her period, but actually she got stabbed by DeQuan Jones. And at this moment, DeQuan had 1 star. And then what he did next just might freak you out. He ran up a hill. A big hill. And then he stole a Mini Cooper. Psych, it was too fast for him. He ran into a car and got hit. And he killed a fat dude for fun. Look at this fat guy getting fucked on his own car, I bet. Then he died. And then DeQuan Jones stole his car and drove off to freedom. The cops were shooting at him after they just witnessed him kill the fat guy. But they did not know he was DeQuan Jones because he had a mask. And then DeQuan realized that he was then again fucked. A right turn, with the cops still chasing him. And he did not know what to do but then take another right turn and run into a Hummer. And then the cops were shooting at him. And then the Hummer was driving after him. But then he took another right turn. And then you guessed it, he took another right turn. Almost ran into a tree. And then he took, yes again, another right turn. But crashed. And that gave the police time to catch up. And then he took a left turn for the first time in his life. And then he took another right turn. He was going to jail for taking voracious right turns. That is at least 1 year of Los Santos prison. And then the cops caught up to him after he got away. But then he took a left turn again. And then they realized that maybe they should just let him go, because then again he learned a lesson and took left turns. But it was not over yet. They still had to find him for killing those 2 innocent people. The lady stabbed in the vagina and the man that was fat and got beat to death. He crashed into a Mini Cooper and his car was so trash he got out. And again he went back to his usual self and sniped people out in the streets of Los Santos. He missed the first time, then he made it the second time. And then he killed 2 white, fat, chubby ladies. Make that 4 with 1 skinny one. Shot in the ass. There we go. And then he stole the Mini Cooper, which no one would predict because DeQuan hates Mini Coopers. And then a cop was chasing after him, but he shot his ass. It ran his ass over. Oh my gosh. I thought he would shoot him, but he did even worse and ran him over. Now that poor police officer will live the rest of his life without his legs. And then DeQuan might just get away with his new Mini Cooper. But then we realized DeQuan Jones was just not a serial killer, but he was a murderer. Because how can you be a serial killer if you kill people in different ways? He stopped taking only right turns and started taking left turns. And then he started shooting people, and usually he stabs them in the butt or their private. And then DeQuan then again realized his life was just beginning. Oh, he missed the cop car by like 2 vertical inches. But the cop was still chasing after him because this was the same vehicle the serial killer was in. And then DeQuan realized that he's on the highway, so now he's gonna get caught by like every single police officer. And if you're in a Mini Cooper, you're also screwed. And now he was being chased by 3 cops. So what he chose to do was get into the other lane so that way he can swap out of the being in trouble situation, and he just dodged one police officer after another. With all that traffic in the way, DeQuan Jones got out of there, but the police caught up easily, and then another cop appeared to show up. So what DeQuan had to do was risky. He went up the ramp with that horrible drift, with the police chasing after him still, and they all took the slowest stop ever and continued down their path. And DeQuan again just realized he had 2 stars on him, and Lester would keep freaking calling him, and that was annoying as shit. And then he lost them, and then he took his right turn, and that's the moment we realized he's a serial killer once again. And as you see, he did not take that left turn right there. And then, oh my gosh, he took a right turn. He took the right turn, and then he took another one. Oh my gosh. If you got one serial killer, it is definitely DeQuan. I've never seen someone take right turns like that. So, voraciously ran into a cop and flipped over his Mini Cooper. And at this moment, DeQuan realized it was time for him to get a new vehicle. And Lester called once again. And this time, DeQuan was in the search for one of the faster vehicles. And he did so get it after
this is him.
He macheted another fat guy right in the head and killed him to death. And then beat him with a stick. Preferably his own stick. He was punching him in the face and causing brutal hits. And then again, no one called the cops on this because no one saw him kill the fat guy. And this is where it all led down to the road of once again DeQuan taking a right turn. And as you see here, you thought it was over, but he took a right turn. And then DeQuan got out of his car and shotgunned an innocent man. And then got into his car. And you thought it, folks. He probably will take a right turn. And he did. Because he's a serial killer. And no one could predict that it was Officer DeQuan Jones. The only reason we know this is because I'm controlling him. Psych. It's because we're watching his film. And I watched his ass change. And the only reason why the cops have not arrested him is because they have not seen this footage. And they probably won't, because DeQuan just hacked every system in the world and deleted this video. So the police would never find that DeQuan Jones was a serial killer. And then he ran over an innocent white woman, and she went flying 200 feet, getting blood. And then he ran over a fat Muslim girl. And then that was history. This made him big serial killer. And this is that moment DeQuan realized he was happy. And then he ran over another fat lady. They just continued down this path of horror. But it was not over, as he found 2 people flirting. He hates lesbians, so he ran them both over. And this was not over yet. DeQuan found 2 gay cops. And they ran him over, and then he ran over Blondie, and then he ran over 3 other women. And there was too many people on the sidewalks. He just ran over person after person. And this one lady was staring too much that she got ran over. And then he ran her over again. And quenched her skull and died. And this was just horror and treachery. And then he took a right turn into some kind of alleyway. And he just juked out the cops, and then he ran into a tree like an idiot. And then he ran over the employee at the hotel. And then he had to turn around because the cops were after him. This was such a huge moment. And then he went off a jump that was actually really cool. I've never seen anything like that. But he was stuck in the middle of goddamn nowhere. You can never call it quits until he kills someone with a hatchet. This innocent Mexican man gets it in the back and then stabbed in the penis. multiple times. And he shot an innocent black woman. I don't know what she was. But he killed her. And then he drove off after someone called the cops because he saw them shooting at her. So he chased down the driver of this vehicle that caught him and called the cops. He didn't care about anyone else that saw, but he did so voraciously. Run over! Oh, he did not run them over. He missed the tree. I thought he was going to run them over. But he found a group of people just sitting and smoking weed. And he hates people that smoke weed, so he ran them over. And then he took a right turn. And then he took another right turn. And he took a right turn, running over a female, Caucasian, and a male, African. And then he shot. Then shot. What the hell? And then he shot the medics. He thought we're trying to be heroes, but he shot them and killed them. And the police were shooting at him. So he drove away after he took a right turn. And then he went straight. He went straight, ladies and gentlemen. He just went straight. And then he went running into the wall. Thought he could go out there, but he can't. But he went flying into midair. And then he did get in there, because there was no barrier in the way. And then he got in there, off this road that leads him down there. And there was a train. The train just kept going, not knowing DeQuan was a serial killer, looking to kill people. And then he followed the train. And then the cops lost him. And then DeQuan Jones made it to freedom. And since he made it to freedom, smoked a cigarette with a mask on. And then what he did was insanely bad for him. He ate candy. He got cavities at that moment. And then he had another cavity. He just did not learn to quit. His addiction with candy was disgusting. Cavity after cavity. And then he found hobos. And he gave them candy. And they themselves had more cavities. And then he did the most frightful thing in anybody's history. He killed all the homeless people. He did too, kill them all. And they could not afford cell phones, so they couldn't call the cops, but somehow they still came and found him. At that moment, DeQuan killed homeless people and took the homeless people's money. And this was just tragic. Everyone at that moment was so frightened of the black man named DeQuan Jones. He picked up all their money, and then he ran to his vehicle to drive away into the sunset. DeQuan Jones then, after that, drove to his house in the same vehicle he was killing people in, and yet people still did not know he was a murderer. And then not only that, he ran over a man in a bicycle. He killed him. He went flying 400 feet in the air and died. If you thought that was tragic, he ran over another fat man. Drove away and got away with it. This was the beginning of the serial killer DeQuan Jones that no one in the world knew existed until the day they saw him murder those people, and they cried with innocent tears and they yelled for mercy, but DeQuan showed no mercy. He ran them over, took their legs away, or he killed them plain blank, and they had no idea what just happened. And I bet you half those people went to hell because they didn't have enough time to ask for forgiveness from Jesus. And then DeQuan tried to get a beautiful lady, but she did not want to sleep with him. So what he did was he beat her up with some brass knuckles. He beat that bitch up, and then he beat another one up. And he took all their money because they were hookers. And they did not want to. They did not want his business. And then what he did was so crazy, he had to run away so he can get back in his house. Then, what he did was changed clothes. And for the first time, after all those murders, we saw the face of a police officer that killed thousands of innocent lives. And I thought this was just crazy news to see, because I've never seen a murderer like this before. Then his house was haunted. The glitchy ass television screen. And that, my friend, is the sign of a murder. So if you thought this was all over, it's not. There's more days to come of DeQuan Jones the murderer and that beautiful hairline. And then we went off air because that's when the video was over.